So good evening, everybody, to the Winnipeg Experiencer Group. I just want to thank everybody for coming and thank our other hosts, Betty, Laura, Mark, for doing a wonderful job every month. And I especially want to thank Laura right now because she is our specialist, our video specialist. We now have a YouTube channel. So thank you, Laura. So if anybody, yes, Mark's going thumbs up. So tonight we're gonna do kind of a hybrid meeting where we're gonna have a main speaker who is Janet. Many of you know her. She's been with the group for a long time. And then it'll be opened up a little bit later for others to speak. I believe we also have another special guest, Miss Dillon, who will be speaking. Yeah, hey, and who have experiences more intensive of orbs and stuff. I've had a lifetime experience of orbs, and tonight hopefully we'll expand the knowledge of what we think we know, and what we know, and what we're going to learn tonight. So Janet, it's for you to start. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mitzi. Thanks, everybody. Where do we start? So I would like to do the share screen.
Would you like to tell people who you are, a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Yeah. So my name's Janet Dorney, and I live out by Lockport, Manitoba, which is about 45 minutes north of Winnipeg. And I've lived on this land for about 20 years. I've always had an interest in the paranormal ever since, you know, strange things start happening here and there in your life, and one strange thing leads on to another strange thing. So, you know, a lifetime of always looking and researching and interest in all those kind of things. And I think that's kind of the learning curve that seems to tag everybody along. So something happens, then you look into it, and then you get an interest and you keep looking. And then sometimes when you get busy in your life and you forget about all these wonderful woo things, something else happens to kind of bring you back to look at it again. So, you know, over many years and many different experiences, I've always been open to learning more about this. So I think it started for me when Miles and I were going to go down to Sedona, and that was in 2016. And so before the trip, I got on the internet to see if I could find a UFO tour. And that's kind of where we got tied up with Tom Dongo. So I'll start the presentation with some slides, and that sort of carries the story in. So let's see, I'll hit share screen here. Is that where I'm going? Okay, from the beginning. Yep, okay. So we do have a Facebook site called the Orbs of St. Clements, and that's where we post some of our orb pictures. And so we've lovingly dubbed the land here called Orbsville because there's lots of orbs. So just on to the first picture, the first slide here. This is 2016. When we got to meet Tom Dongo, and of course he's been in the Sedona area for a lot of years, and he knows a lot of stuff about UFOs and orbs, and he is just a lifetime of knowledge. When we first got in contact with him, he was actually retired, and so I said to him, well, we've got a condo, would you at least come over for supper if you won't take us on tour, and then you could tell us all these wonderful things. So he actually agreed to take Miles and I for an orb tour. So he's just a wonderful man, and kind, and shares all kind of knowledge with you. And he says, well, we'll get some orb pictures while we're out there. And I thought, wow, how does he know the orbs are going to be there? Like, honestly, like, does he call them up? How does he know? You know, the little bit I really didn't know much about orbs, but I thought it was just fascinating that he just knew the orbs were going to be there. So anyways, we go out and start taking pictures. And of course, the picture on the far right there just blew us away. So yes, the orbs were there. The night was, I'd say about 15 degrees Celsius, 15, 16, 17, a real light breeze. Not that picture on the left, that's Tom Dongo. And so the orb pictures, the ones on the right and the one underneath to the left there, were some of the pictures that Tom took. And then we had some pictures also. So, you know, I was just blown away. And Tom did say that we ended up having a lot of orbs around us. So that was very interesting. Shoot, we were out there for about 5 hours. He showed us a bunch of stuff in the sky besides orbs. And yeah, that's kind of a talk all in itself. But yeah, it was most interesting. The picture on the right, lower right there, when we first got there the evening before, we were just sitting out in the patio and we were watching this light go past. And I can't really blow that up much, but it looked like a musical note. It was a light with a tail. We watched it go past. We filmed it. We had no idea what it was, but we showed it to Tom and he goes, "That's cool. I haven't seen one like that." So Tom's just got a wealth of knowledge. And yeah, if you ever get a chance to hear him speak, or if he'll do a few tours in Sedona, he's really wonderful. So we were quite blown away with it all his stories and all his pictures. He's seen actual craft. He has some books. One of the books he wrote is called Bradshaw Ranch, and that's when he and I think her name was Linda Bradshaw started doing a lot of research there because there was a lot of high strangeness, and he started taking some orb photos there, and that was with camera with film in it. And so yes, we bought his books on that. His books are hard to find now because he self-printed and he did it a lot of years ago. And of course, you know, they're just harder to find, but they're a very good read. And what strikes me now is how Skinwalker Ranch resembles a lot of the high strangeness that he told us about Bradshaw Ranch. And this was, you know, quite a bit before. So the place he took us out to shoot was a ways out, and he said that Bradshaw Ranch was just over the hill behind us. So it is in that area where there's a lot of strangeness, and this man just has stories that it'll just blow you away. Craft he's seen, craft that have gone over top of him, you know, when he had taken a bunch of policemen on tours out there, alien craft. He's brilliant, and you know, maybe sometime we could approach him to do a talk, because he's sort of back on the circuit now doing some talks. So that was a fabulous eye opener for us. So we come home, we're all blown away with that, and just thought we'd seen something, you know, of a lifetime, and that's never going to happen again. So then, you know, it took me almost a year from the fall of 16 to 17 to go, well, hey, wait a minute. I wonder if we've got orbs back here, because, you know, are the orbs specific to your location? Are they specific to the person? Do they come home with you? Nobody really knew those answers, but I mean, really, what have you got to lose? So I took my digital camera out and just went out in the backyard and took a bunch of pictures. And probably out of 100 pictures, there was more than a dozen, maybe even 24 that had orbs in them. So right off the bat, then you're hooked, and you start taking pictures. And you know, because there's no film involved, it doesn't cost you anything. So you know, go out, take pictures, you come home, or you come back into the house, you look at them. And yeah, it's just been a fabulous thing. And now, you know, it's just something we love to do. So these pictures here are all different colors, and the colors are sort of different every night. There's the odd night, you get a whole bunch of colors in one photo. That's not too often, but the colors pop up wherever. So, you know, there's lots of the blues, the pinks, the yellows. So yeah, I can never really predict what colors are going to be out there, but I'm always thrilled when I see them. I think the structure of them is really interesting because you see on some of these, there's the large corona around the outside. And then on the inside, there's almost like on some of them, it almost looks like a fingerprint or a mandala. Some of them are very, very crisp. Like the double blue one on the bottom, the little one there is very crisp. The larger one behind it is starting to fuzz out. And you see them in all different areas like that, different formations. And I don't know, in my mind, I think the ones that are crisp are coming into focus and attention, and the big fluffy ones may be zoning out again. But once again, I'm not sure. I don't have the gift of interpretation that a lot of people do in orb pictures, are able to better interpret them or be able to get a message from them. I don't really have that. My heart or my gut tells me they're from the earth, but you know, there's as many different orbs as there is animals. So, you know, I think there are the spirit orbs, there are the elemental orbs. I think, you know, it's like going to the zoo. There's so many different kinds. Of course, they're going to have all different kinds of purposes, right? I think it's like fish in the ocean. You know, everybody's got a different purpose. I've never had anything bad happen from the orbs. I know, you know, Grant is talking about the stuff at Skinwalker Ranch, and you know, these blue orbs follow people home, and they take the energy home, and they have problems with it. And I can't speak for them. However, you know, they were toting guns. So if somebody was had a gun with me, I might be a little crabby too. So, you know, I've always gone out with a kind, open heart. And always after you come back in after shooting, to me, I just feel energized. I can't sleep probably for an hour. I put all the pictures on the computer and run through them and crop them and look at them. And I just love it because it's just all positive energy to me. So I guess everybody's experiences are different for sure. This next one is just different kinds of orbs. So we've picked up several of these really interesting streaks. So you'll see here is the original picture to the left on the top hand left here, how small it is. And then when you blow it up here, you can see these streaks, or zingers I sometimes call them. So I don't know a lot about cameras, and I'm the first one to profess I use a point and shoot. But when I do a little bit of reading on a book I use on the orbs, I'll show you that later, the flash goes off in 1/1000th of a second. So if there is movement within that 1/1000th of a second, the physicist that wrote this book said it's traveling at least 200 miles an hour. So to get movement like this, and we have other orb pictures that have movement in them, it amazes me, you know, because these things are there in just a blip. So the one on the right-hand side I love because it's just, it looks neon, and the dots all coming down there. You know, they're just there for a blip and they're gone. Same with the one on the bottom here. It's kind of this red zinger. So I don't know what kind of creature it is, but he's pretty cool.
So Janet, we have a question from one of the people looking. They said, do you ever see them with your eyes, or is it only on camera?
For me, it's only on camera. Now I know lots of people are gifted and they can see them with their eyes. I think that kind of comes to the rods and cones in your eyes or the pineal gland being open, because I really don't see them with my eyes. Now I do sense, you know, that some nights are better than others, and you know, 8:30 or so, whatever, I'm just decide, okay, I'm wandering out now because there's orbs out there. I guess you sort of feel it. That's how I know to go out. Now, I don't think I've ever come back after a shoot without any orbs. And some nights are better than others. And so no, I don't see them with my eyes. I need the camera. I kind of envy the people that can see them with their eyes, but I guess I'm not there yet.
I know when I was there, I could feel the energy there.
Yeah.
I couldn't see them, and you had a lot going on there. So
yeah, well, and I think Mitzi, that's all those pictures I took when you and Laura were there. I've got to go back through, and I think, you know, each orb shoot is kind of a study to highlight what we saw, and I think that might be fun to do another time to A, look at the orbs that we all shot when we were there, and B, because you did a psychic reading on the land, to kind of pair that up with what you felt in the land. So that might be another time that we sort of do that together, would be just because you got both sides of the equation, the interpretation. The other kind of orbs that we pick up a lot are mists, and they're just amazing. So these top two pictures here, we had a couple out for supper, Karen and James, and Karen worked at the office where Miles worked and had seen a big orb picture he had taken in there, and she was really amazed with this thing and asked to come out. So we had them out for supper, and so we walked around to take some orb pictures, and that was a night, I think, in November, and the mists were amazing in that the lines were so crisp. I could not see the mists without the camera, and you see the lines are crisp. It's there, and then there's absolutely nothing up here. So it's a whole entirely different thing. Now, James is got First Nation background, and he felt the energy there, and that's not surprising. And he thought this one on the right-hand side looked like a buffalo. He could feel the buffalo energy there, which turned out to be very accurate because the pond on our place was a buffalo wallow, as it was told to me. So the buffalo would come there, lick the clay in the soil, for healing properties. And there's a lot of First Nation encampments there because it's across from the lower Fort Garry. So there's a lot of energy there for a lot of reasons. And of course, these two, I just love these two mist pictures for that reason, because we could sort of unravel some of the stuff. James helped us do it. So that was a really good evening with shooting with them. The one on the bottom left, that, of course, I couldn't see that with my eyes either. That's when I was just walking up the road. I take these pictures, and there's these beautiful red mists in the trees. And that's kind of stuff you don't really see until you get home, because it's quite faint on the back of the small camera. I've also got some pictures of green mists that I took in the winter. There's a lot more work to be done on mists, and I want to do kind of a more of a project and put together on that too. And Nicole Sackich and Grant Cameron want to do a bit of a talk. I need to do a bit of a talk on mists, but I need some more time to get it together and do some analysis. And the one on the lower right. So, you know, it's always amazing that you're just walking out there and it doesn't look like anything, and you take these pictures and the mists are there, and it just, how can this be all around you? I mean, you can sense it, but I'm always surprised when I see the pictures. It's just like a gift, you know. The next picture is moving orbs. So these are things, there's a couple different times you'll see them. Sometimes if you go out, when I go out when I'm shooting and it's windy, I can tell which way the wind is going, because the head of the orb is here. The wind will, in this top picture on the left, the wind will be going from the left to the right. So you see the orb, and the wind is almost blowing the energy out as a tail. So you get some pictures when it's windier out. There's other pictures that you take when it's very still. There's no wind at all, and yet you'll see there's energy moving in the orbs. And the same on the bottom right there. You don't see that, but obviously the orbs are moving because you see the tails on them. And then the one to the left also, you know, I haven't got this blown up very much, but lots of times in pictures, you'll see they're all going different directions. So on the top left here, they're all kind of going the same direction, but yet you get pictures when the orbs are moving and the tails, and they're all going different directions. And it's just like, well, that can't be a weather phenomena because it's not wind. It is totally something else that's making, and they're all going in different directions. So that's why I say each one of these shoots, you could kind of analyze it a little bit more. Yeah, when we all have time, but it's still fun to look at and try to figure out. So another type of orb we see, the circle here on the lower left is in situation where these orbs look like they're opening up. And then if you go to the top right hand, this is just a blow up of what's in the circle. And you can see those orbs look like the lid is coming off and something is coming out. And that to me is just way cool. Like, what is going on there? Like, we'll never know, but let's see, this might be a good one for your abilities. But yeah, we start to see some more of those here and there. You're never quite sure when they're going to show up. But the thing is, on these pictures, when you get a shot like this with a whole bunch of orbs in it, you've got to put it on and really magnify it and go over each dot carefully, because once you blow it up, there's so many different things going on there than in first glance. This one here is, there's nights when the orbs are just crazy out there. They're just so, it's not rain, it's not snow. I really don't know what causes this. It seems to be a little more pervasive when the humidity is a little bit higher. And that kind of makes sense to me for a couple reasons, because if there's any kind of electrical or energy, of course, water is a better conductor. So I think that has something to do with it. You see a lot of orbs if you have a lot of like-minded people around. So sometimes if we'll get groups out and everybody's kind of on the same picture, or they're happy and, you know, it's very convivial, and that you'll start to get lots of orbs. So I think it does attach somehow to your state of mind or your happiness or just the general vibes, you know, you give off. I think there's a lot to be said for that. This next picture is orbs taken in the winter. And I call them winter mists for a couple different reasons. So they're very interesting. Now, I know a lot of, if you're very scientific, or a lot of people will say, well, you're just exhaling. Well, maybe, and maybe there's a temperature change. But when I go out to shoot, when it's very, very cold, I always triple mask. So I will have a paper mask on that we have from COVID. I'll have some kind of another fabric mask, and then I put a balaclava over my face. So your breath is very much diffused. So you can't just blow a stream of air out and take a picture of it. I mean, I'm sure people could, but this isn't that. So I'm very conscious of holding the camera as far away from my body as I can, because there's a heat difference, of course, which might cause some condensation, even from your parka clothes. But a lot of these are a long ways away, so they're not right in front of you. I'll be on the road, it's down in the ditch, and it's in the trees beside me. So it's at least 30 to 50 feet away. So if we could all throw our breath that far, that would be very cool, but I don't think so. You know, I'm always trying to figure this out too. And I've got, the one night I went out to shoot these, that could sort of be a series in itself. These are just a few I've picked out from a couple different dates there. But honestly, some of them just, they look like dragon heads. They look like so many different things. It's amazing. So how is that temperature significant? I'm not sure, but it doesn't happen every time, of course, when I go out to shoot in the winter either. So it's hit and miss, and yeah, I can't tell you what causes that either, but boy, one night I shot a bunch of them and they were just totally amazing. The next one is some different pictures from orbs. So here's a funny thing that happened when my mom had passed away and we were going through her pictures. A couple things came up. This was my brother's wedding, and that would have been in 1975. So that would have been with film camera, and there's an orb right on his pant leg there. And of course, in those days, nobody really would have known an orb, and maybe it was dust, but I don't know. I kind of doubt it. So that, very interesting. I found that old picture. This picture on the bottom right here was when Mom and I went to Halifax. And so we were up on Citadel Hill, and they do the recreation stuff there. And I think that might have been my first digital camera. And I'd taken this picture, not thinking too much about it. But on the original picture, if you blow it up, there's an orb between these two gentlemen. There's one on him. There's a bigger orb here. The picture is just full of orbs. And I thought, wow. And I don't know where my copies of those Halifax pictures went, because that would have been from the 1990s. I really don't know where they are, but it's funny. I found one printed out in my mom's pictures, and I go, I remember that. And so, yeah, I don't know where mine are, but honestly, there was orbs in that picture. So that's very interesting to find that now, sort of in the same stack of pictures. So love that synchronicity. This picture up here at the top is, I think, a cousin of Miles, and she had her picture taken, of course, expecting in the field of sunflowers. And you can see there's an orb right here on her hip, but there's a great big orb here, very subtle in the original picture, that is right on her belly. And they took two pictures and they both came out like that, orbs in a little bit different place. So when she sent the pictures to Miles, Miles says, "You got orbs in there." And she goes, "What?" So she's pretty thrilled. So that's kind of interesting. They show up, and of course, lots of people think it's a camera this or a camera that. And for sure, sometimes it is, but not always. The next picture is the night we had this horrendous thunderstorm, and I was standing in the sunroom. This whole storm was coming in, and it was fabulous to look at. Miles was sitting out front on the stoop watching it come in from that side. I had the window open in the sunroom, and there was this great big crack of thunder. It was so close, you could feel the air move. It hit me in the chest, and I just about had a fit, because the lightning hit this tree in the back of our yard. So maybe that tree is 100 feet back, I'm not sure. Totally starts burning up the tree. We were having a fit because, right, you call the fire department, what do you do? But we saw this thing, I saw the lightning hit, felt the thunder rumble. It was a horrendous, horrendous lightning storm. So believe it or not, I still kept taking pictures. And so when we put the pictures in, you'll see this little red circle up here in the top. Miles went over them because there were so many things going on in those pictures. But the one at the top there, he blew up, and you see the guy at the bottom here. Looks like a guy in a spaceship. It actually looks like a body. And it was absolutely fascinating. So then, about 3 or 4 years, 3 years later maybe, I saw one of Stephen Greer's movies, and I couldn't tell you which one. I've got it written down somewhere. He has a picture of an orb with this center guy in it that looks just like this. I stopped the movie and did a screen print on it, so sometime I'll have to put those two side by side. But that's what happens. I mean, when you go through and look at your pictures, you've got to zoom in and look at everything, because these small little bits here turn out to be amazing things, and they're just a long ways away. Also in this picture, you'll see to the left-hand side, you'll see the energy swooping up. The tail is coming down. So you'll see there's energy, and that's what I feel. It's almost like the negative ions coming up from the earth. But we had some other pictures in that storm, and you can see the energy coming up because the tails are going down. So there's something going on where it's releasing the energy. And the energy is going straight up in these orbs. So, you know, like I said, you get pictures and the orbs are going in different directions. So that's interesting. This next one is, we call them galaxies because I don't know what else to call them. They're mists, but when you look in, and I'll take each one of these pictures another time and blow it up. When you blow these things up, there's so much going on. You'll see the one on the right. There's big ones, small ones. There's those dots are different kinds of energy that are changing shape. So they look like they're coming and they're opening up and they have a flat side. And you can blow them up, and see this energy is changing into many different shapes. As it's coming or going, I'm not sure. But when you get pictures like this, my goodness, it's just like, you know, the new pictures from the James Webb telescope. You just look deeper and deeper and deeper into them, and they're absolutely fascinating. The one down on the left-hand side here in the corner, this mist is not everywhere. So you'll get pockets of this, and then you'll get absolutely nothing in the middle. Once again, it's a fascinating phenomena. I don't know what causes it, but it just keeps your curiosity going every time. You start taking thousands of pictures, and then of course you see the patterns coming and going, but it took me a long time to figure out how to categorize these, even with reference books. The next one is this fun evening we had when Rob Freeman and Mark McNabb, Skyview came out. Grant and Desta and Mark were there also. And Rob Freeman has a beautiful setup of $100,000 worth of night vision cameras, and he's got all kinds of cool stuff going on. So it was really fun to have him here. We all had a great visit. So I'm walking around with my little point and shoot and taking these pictures, and we just got phenomenal orb pictures. And I think it's because everybody is like-minded and curious and open to the phenomena and very accepting. So these ones over here on the left, it's kind of Grant and Desta and Mark hamming it up with the orbs above them. Same as on the right, this was on the road by our place. I took a little walk out there and I just felt the orbs there. So these guys came out and we took a bunch of pictures where everybody's hamming it up. Mark came out and I love this picture, Mark, of this beautiful big white orb over your head. And then as you walked back off of the road onto the lawn, just this whole flurry of orbs around him. And it was just, yeah, it was just a fun evening, because after we did a bunch of shoots and that, we came in and we put the pictures just right off the SD card onto the big screen on the TV, and we all looked at them right then and there, and it was really neat. It was a really neat evening. So another evening before that, in July and August, I had Grant and Desta out a couple of times, and just once again, amazing pictures. And Desta's very tuned in and all the contact modalities, and she does channeling, and so she's very gifted that way. And I think, you know, with her there, just that we just got orbs and orbs and orbs. And I like this one down here. I took this one. Is Grant and Desta there with this great big orb between them walking back. And this one is fun because I always tease Grant about it. He's like, I'm not getting any orbs. He shoots his camera this way. I take a picture of him. It's like, Grant, all the orbs are behind you. So it's not like they're not there. Anyways, it's just great fun having evenings when you get people out. And we've done a couple CE5s here and some orb shoots at the same time. So yeah, and everybody always gets something. So they're always here and they're always welcoming. This is kind of the books I use for my reference materials. If anybody really wants to start reading the scientific take and classification on them, this Klaus Heinemann is a German physicist, and I think he's given everything a lot of credibility because he comes at it strictly from a science background, a physicist science background. So he talks about electricity and plasma. He talks about if the shutter speed is this and your flash is 1,000th of a second, he can figure out how fast that object is moving. And for me, it was a good place to start because I have a bit of a science background. And so I would always like to approach the problem as to what is this? What is this? Like, can we repeat it? Can we analyze it? Can we put it in categories? I think it is hugely spiritual and experiential because you bring your heart to it and your willingness to communicate. And so I think it's a great combination of both things. But I like the science approach too. And so, you hear a lot of this. It's a bug, it's dirt, it's moisture, it's raindrops. Yes, some of it is sometimes, but by the time you get to shooting thousands of pictures like we have, you know the difference. And believe you me, we have lots of pictures of bugs, right, Mitzi? Lots of mosquito pictures. So, anyways, if anybody really wants to dig into it further, these are excellent books. You can see I've got mine all tabbed because he explains things. He talks about the mists, the plasma. He talks about categories like red giant orbs, because there's a lot of those. There's different kinds of orbs. There's ones with the holes in them. He calls skeletals, and he tries to put an explanation to that. So I've got all of this tabbed, and I'm always looking it up to see if it helps my explanation or my understanding in the categories. The interesting thing is Klaus's wife, I might get this wrong, but she has some kind of a master's degree in social work or something like that. After all the scientific study, they came to the conclusion that they really are attached spiritually somehow, because when there were spiritual get-togethers in that, there'd be much more orbs. And you see that, and lots of people have lots of pictures. So maybe it's when people get together and they're all like-minded, or they're raising their vibration. But I thought it was very interesting that Klaus, the physicist, after studying this, with all of his skill set, really does think they are linked somehow spiritually also. So there's another factor. There is the consciousness factor, and you don't often see scientists cross over between the hard science and the consciousness factor. And I think, in my opinion, he's done his due diligence, and I really think he's nailed it. But of course, more to learn. And there's so many people taking pictures of orbs now. I think it's absolutely fabulous because there's so many orb sites on Facebook. You can go and see what everybody's doing. There's lots of different interpretations. I don't claim to understand them all, but I really love to see that everybody from all around the world is shooting these things, and just understanding or bringing it to a more conscious state.
So Jan, we have another question.
Okay.
So was there anyone able to capture the night vision camera on the orb transition from visible light to infrared? So did Rob do that? Do you know?
I'm not sure what he got for orbs. He was more focused on sky, looking for energy in the sky and the UFOs. So yes, he does have a lot of infrared. He has time-lapse photography. And the interesting thing, I don't have that picture right at my fingertips right now, but if we do another one sometime, I want to show you. He just recently posted in the last, I'd say 4 months, a picture from the shoot at our place, and it was a picture of the campfire, and nobody was sitting in the chairs. So I think we were all out in the road taking funky orb pictures out there, but he had left his camera running, and there was a time-lapse photography over, I'm guessing maybe 10 seconds, where there is this energy beam that comes down from the sky right through the campfire and into the ground. It is phenomenal. It's a black and white picture. I'll find it sometime, maybe not somebody else is talking here. And over to the left-hand side, there's dots of lights coming across like this. So it was very cool that he found that picture and the energy sense on it. The other thing that is very cool is, do you remember, Mitzi, you said when you were doing your reading here that there was an energy in that campfire ring that you sensed. And and
where do you want this?
I don't know how do you send it to me now. We'll find it. We'll get that picture. Miles is just pulling it up. We'll figure it out how to get it on my camera. So in closing, I've taken up enough time here, but I just want to show you my very, very most favorite orb pictures. I love them all, but this one, I could see on my little camera lens that I had shot something cool. When I brought it in and put it on my computer, it moves me. And I think this is my best picture ever. I call it the colored veil. And that was taken on the road, and I just turned around and snapped a picture. And that's an orb there to the left-hand side, that big one. That's not the moon. And you can just see the swirls and the colors. And to me, that's amazing. Who knows what it is? I love it. If I could take one of those, every once in a while, my goodness, it would keep you just hooked. But anyways, that's what I got for now.
Thank you. And we have somebody that you had invited to speak with you tonight. Do you want to introduce her?
Yes. Okay, I will stop screen sharing, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, where's Joan?
She's here.
There you are. Hey, Joan.
I woke up.
So, yes, Joan is from a different country. Janet, do you want to say a little bit about her? And then, Joan, do you want to introduce yourself after Janet introduces you?
Sure.
Okay, well, I received this email from Joan Dillon, and she'd taken some pictures while she was in Brandon visiting her brother. She asked if I would have a little look at them. So we chatted back and forth a little bit on Gmail, and it turned out, and now this is synchronicity, we both grew up in southern Manitoba in a small area, but when Joan went to take her music degree at Brandon University, she actually knew some of the people I knew. So we were having a good chuckle back and forth. So that was sort of COVID times. We were doing Zooms back and forth. And yeah, I'll let Joan, you can take it away from there and tell some stories.
Okay. Okay, I'm quite new to this, but just my background, looking back, I've always been interested in paranormal things. And then I got into crop circles, and I went to England a couple of times. I went to a conference there, and I liked being in the fields. It felt a bit like home, and yeah, amazing formations. And I went to some of the lectures put on by Karen Alexander, and I thought a lot of it was kind of weird, but it was very interesting. And somebody even came and mentioned the word UFOs. I thought, I'm not going there. But okay, so that I sort of left it at that. I'm reading stuff, and I got thinking, gee, why hasn't anything happened in Manitoba? There must be something going on. And then I stumbled on Grant Cameron's story and Charlie Red Star. So then once you hook in with Grant, you're away to the races. And so I was following him on YouTube and stuff on the internet. And then I went to Contact in the Desert. And I went twice. The first year I was quite overwhelmed with everything because I thought I knew a little bit about crop circles and I'll do just fine. Well, there's a lot going on. And so, yeah, it was a lot to take in, but you sort of hear different people and get a feel of what different areas people are exploring. So, and then I went the second year and I felt a little better and got more out of it. And I was still following. I heard Grant speak down there actually the first year. Anyway, so then I was seeing these things about orbs on the internet things, and so I thought, well, I got a camera. I'll try that. This was last year. I was visiting. I live in Europe, but I was visiting my brother in Brandon, and I.
So where are you right now?
I'm in the Netherlands.
Okay, thank you.
I've had my working career there in music, but I'm retired now. And so I was visiting my brother last, it was a year ago, last October. And yeah, I got these pictures. Holy crap. Look at that. So I'll try, I don't know if I can do this, but should I try the share screen and show what I.
Yeah, do you know how to share screen?
Yeah. I'll try it. Guess if you can get me in. It says I have to be let in.
Okay, there you go. Now you should be able to share.
Okay. Oh dear, desktop one. Dear.
So are we having more technical problems tonight? We must still be under the influence of the
full moon.
Full moon.
Eclipse. Yes. I'll blame it on that. Are you able to get it up, Joan?
I'm having a little trouble. Desktop one, whiteboard.
Well, can you describe what you see in the picture?
Yeah, it's in Dutch. I'm having. Okay, I'll just try again. I'm clicking on just, yeah, I'm getting rerouted somehow. Bestanden, maybe I'll try that. No.
You shouldn't be rerouted.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm getting into another.
Yeah, you should.
Oh, that's too bad.
Should be on the bottom of your screen.
Right. Yeah, I've clicked on the green thing. Yeah, share screen. And then, yeah, they want me to go through some security thing.
No, you shouldn't have to do that.
But that, yeah, I was hoping it would be a little more. That's too bad. I could, yeah, this is a new computer. I don't know if I can still get in on my laptop, whether that would work any better. Could maybe try later. And
well, could you describe your experience then?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I got my first few times in Brandon, I got all kinds of things. Now, I got lots of a number of orbs. I got a few mists, and I got one of the what Janet calls the dingers, a sort of a rod thing that lit up. And yeah, that it really hooks you that way when you see all these different things. Yeah. And so that's when I got in contact with Janet, like, help, what's going on here? And yeah, then I was fortunate enough to visit Orbsville this last summer, and we went out for a shoot. And yeah, that was really exciting. The beginning, I wasn't getting anything. And then we went down the road, and then she says, yeah, there's a field down here that's, I usually get something here. So, so I took some really cool shots there, and a lot of stuff did pop up. So I don't know whether she calls that her gifting field, but it sure, it sure had a lot of stuff in there. Okay, and then here, when I'm back in Holland, there's a lot of moisture in the air, and rain is also good too, I find. And I just opened my back door. I live right in a city, but I just opened my back door and point the camera up, and there's always something there. Sometimes it's pretty vague, but sometimes you get some really exciting things. And I had some things I wanted to show tonight. I'll maybe see if I can figure that out better. Maybe I'll try firing up the laptop in a minute. And I had a sort of a portal thing as well. And then in Amsterdam in the daytime, that was a little different. I don't usually get any. It was the end of the day. So this, getting towards dusk, and there was a dark place under some trees. And I was with a friend who was cleaning out her parents' house because they're both deceased now. And I found some columns with different orbs in them. And I can take 5 seconds between how the flash loads up, and you could see these different orbs in a column. So I thought that was kind of cool. But other than that, I'm not experienced. I don't know what's going on. I just take pictures, and it's very exciting. So.
Okay, why don't we let you,
sure.
I'll take you off as a co-host.
Right.
And if you want to work with your computer, we'll come back to you.
See if, Mark, okay. Thank you very much.
Mark Olson, do you want to turn yourself back on if you're there? Hello, Mark. Mark. He might be on a break. Okay, Mark sent me a video of an orb. I was going to have him describe it, but I will share screen, and hopefully he'll come back on. Okay. Can everybody see this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, that's the blue orb. And what Mark told me, it almost looks like a little person in here.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I can see heads and stuff.
Yep.
Let's see the video. Okay, yep. Here's the video.
Hello, I'm back here.
There is Mark.
Okay, there it is. I'll run it again. Mark, you can.
Yeah, let me just start by describing what this was. One of our members who's passed away 2 years ago, Jim Schaefer, we got to be good friends with, went out to dinner with him a number of times before our meetings, and then he would come. He was quite ill. So we're sitting there, and he talked to me about, he takes a number of videos in his room. These orbs contact him prior to, before they come in. And in this particular occasion, they told him to start videotaping the wall directly in front of him, so which he did. And this is the video. At the 8-second mark, it comes through the wind. Yeah, it comes through the wall. You'll see it, and then it just appears. This, I guess the video is very. I guess it's the speed at which your computer's running it, Mitzi. I think. You can see it's right at the 8-second mark that this orb, which has come through the wall, stops for a millisecond. And there's actually, I'll show you a picture of it. Let's see if I can get it. That's a picture of it in its form. But I think Mitzi, I wish I could use share screen. I'm not very good at it, but it's an incredible. Matter of fact, is there Mitzi, the other image I sent to you by email, which is a picture of that stationary.
You want me to do it? Do you want me to show that one too again?
Yeah, please. So
okay.
This orb, which is quite remarkable, when it stops, you can see three beings in the orb. And the interesting thing is that that orb came into the room. Oh yeah, there it is. So that's the same orb at that 8-second mark where it stops. The interesting thing is this orb flew into his body. Like he videotaped it, it came in and flew right into his body, he said. And he had cancer at that point and had, it had cleared it up so much that when he talked to his oncologist, he asked him what did he do, because actually that clot had disappeared in his body, which, you know, obviously was remarkable. He had reoccurrence of cancer and passed away from COVID, actually. So it just is, it was one of those amazing things. And I know Jim quite well. When he talks about inside the orb, people get sometimes taken into these orbs. You see what it looks like there, but he says it's like 3 football fields inside of that. So there's spatial relationship is not the same, it's different. And I just found it quite remarkable. That was just such a compelling, I showed that, I took that video. Jim, when he sent it to me, he gave me permission to share it with anybody. So I took it on a couple of fobs, these little thumb drives, and I took it down to Phoenix to the UFO Congress. And in the early morning, there's an experiencer session between 8 and 9, and also at 8 and 9 at night, where people come in and tell their experiences of you know, what has happened to them over the year and why they were interested in being UFOs or why they were at this Congress. And I said I'd show it, and I brought my laptop in with me. At the end of the meeting, I showed this video, and I think everybody that watched, there might have been about 30 people, 80 people were in the meeting. 30 of them stayed after because the speaker goes right on at 9 o'clock, but 30 of them stayed in to watch. And the comments were that is probably the most compelling orb video they'd ever seen in their entire lifetime. Especially, I wish I had the ability to stop that thing at the 8-second mark. When you see it moving and you see it stop, you go, yeah, okay, that's really something that is just like, you can grasp onto it. You know, it was such an amazing event, and to see it and to know Jim about it, talk about it. He'd posted many of them on his website, and which are still there today. I'm not sure what his website address is, but I could probably share that if I do some research after this part of my story here. But anyway, so that's the one orb video that I think is quite good. I wish we could have ran it where it actually ran. Can you, Mitzi, can you stop your camera, your video, and then play it off, so your bandwidth will maybe allow it to run smoother? Okay. On the video part, yeah.
So this is a stop at the 8-second. Is that what you wanted, Mark?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to see if it would just, if you could back it up. I don't know if you can do it with this particular one. Grant has a much more detailed one that he has, Grant Cameron, but you can get it so you can just see them clear as day in the video. So, but it's a difficult place to actually get to there. That's really close. Yeah, right there. That's it. That's the image. So that's the image that was blown up on the other still picture, which pretty remarkable. Actually, you know what? Can you do something for me? I just noticed something. So everyone take a look at where on the edge of that door that thing is. Can you, Mitzi, go to the still picture to see? I thought it was more to the right in the still picture, but I'm not sure. So notice it's just on the edge of the door. Let's see if it is still on the big still picture. Yeah, no, it's still in the same spot. Okay, that's good. Just so we know that that's the image of that orb. But you can see two beings in there. It looks like there's some kind of console or something in front of him, down lower down his leg. Just very interesting stuff. Has anyone ever been taken into, anyone that would like to discuss it, you don't have to do it if you don't want to, obviously, has been taken into a ship or an orb as part of a abduction or taken type of concept here in tonight? Oh, Mitzi, I didn't even realize that. Can you describe it? Is it true that the size is not proportionate to the size of the orb when you're inside?
Yeah, it is. I actually, my background is, I'm a shaman. I was born this way. I'm a psychic and a healer from both sides of the family. My Sami side, our ancestors worked with the star people. They intermingled with us. We interbreded with each other. So it was the star people who came, and I was actually at Big Arp at the time, and so they were doing their ceremony at Big Arp, and all of a sudden, my ancestors came from the star people, and as the group was walking through a meditation of visiting others, my star people were taking me and showing me in this energy field like, and I don't know if you describe it as an orb, but as energy, and they showed me and introduced me to different entities and beings from other planets and what they looked like to them and how I could interpret and communicate through telepathic language. So yeah, it was very unique and different, and so that was probably my biggest experience. I've had others, but they were not as grand as that. I was actually being introduced as part of their clan of my ancestors, so it was kind of an honor. So yeah.
Thanks for sharing, Mitzi.
Thank you.
That's all I have. That's the only orb pictures that I've had that I've been given.
I have a lot of orb pictures, so I'm going to ask that people, if they have experience and want to talk to people, please be mindful that there's probably others. So please limit your time. At the bottom, there's reactions. There'll be like a hand raise, and I and Betty will try to so it looks like this on mine. So let us know if you want to speak. Put your hand up and we'll try to go in order so we don't have a bunch of people speaking up all at the same time. Thank you. So is anybody else that wants to share their stories about orbs or pictures? Trish. Okay, go for it.
I did want to mention there's a show that's newly on Discovery Plus called Haunted Scotland. The second episode, they went to a location with a very famous fairy mound, which is known to have a lot of orbs. And of course, people have associated the orbs with what we don't understand what fairies are, you know, like, are they aliens? Are they, but there's just one beautiful scene, speaking of vibrational levels and what attracts them, where they were in a manor house close by with a grand piano. And they sat down and started playing the piano. And at one moment, a couple of orbs came in, but one came in, stopped over the piano, and then just hightailed it out of there and came back like seconds later with a whole big bunch more. Like, you guys have got to come see this. So I thought that was interesting, just because I get the feeling, I think what Janet was saying is there's probably many things that look like this and not just one thing, that sometimes they feel like a single spirit. Sometimes they feel like a craft. I put in the chat.
So do you feel them or do you see them? Or
I put in the chat about, I did a guided, I want to call it a group guided session that wasn't really a regression, it was remote viewing. And my mantid I interact with sort of took over the controls of that session from the group leader. And I was shown something that she had also been shown, and I found out my father had painted 40 years ago of this planet. And on this planet, how we traveled was in this big cellular white glowy translucent thing. So that was the first time I ever thought of them as being a craft and not just an energy fixation. But have I ever seen orbs? I don't wear my glasses. I don't see much. I prefer to not see so much of what's going on in my house. But I definitely had a reaction when they first started showing the ones that were shifting in and out of visible light. In other words, we think that they're gone or they went through a portal, but they're still there. And so they're there in numbers that we can't fathom. And also, I think there's very good likelihood, and this is something I have seen the inside of, that what we call tic-tac ships viewed from the end in certain lighting conditions glow, and those are part of what it is. And there was a good capture of that on the Skinwalker Ranch show, speaking of Skinwalker Ranch. So that's what I've been inside of more, but didn't associate it until that show, when Travis Taylor said, you know, I think that's just the thing seen from the end. And I went.
So Trish, are you also a psychic too?
I thought, well, I wouldn't, yes, but I wouldn't label myself that. I've had, I've always had premonitory dreams. I've always had picking things out of people's brains. And they're like, how'd you know that? How'd you know I was in France? I haven't made a career out of it. I'm a composer and songwriter, and now I'm a publisher and a writer. And I did have a near-death experience that made me be like shining like a lighthouse to anybody I even slightly knew that just died. But my feeling is that those of us that have contact since birth and maybe in our family line kind of are used to communicating like that on some level, and just frustrated here a lot because it's so hard to talk to people. So yeah. Okay. So anyway, that's my orb stories. Thanks.
Okay, do we have anybody else that wants to lift their little hand? Anybody else? Lisa?
Oh, hi there. Yeah, it's Lisa here. I just wanted to thank Janet and Miles for sharing some really beautiful orb photos. We were over at your house. I don't know if you recall, Lisa and Troy. A couple of years ago, we were invited with a group, and yeah, it was a pretty special night. We live across the river, actually, in St. Andrews, and yeah, like ironically, we've got a lot of orb activity in our yard as well. We can see them with the naked eye, some of them. I've had an orb come right up to my bedroom window that was just absolutely beautiful. And then we've also gone out with the camera and captured a lot of similar kind of photos that Janet has shared, including kind of those misty photos that she caught in the winter. We actually took photos very similarly this last August in East Selkirk, actually. But yeah, so I just wanted to kind of share that. And we also captured nature spirits, so what I would think of as fairies. and even a cherub, which was really beautiful. So there's so much out there if you just, take your camera, do some meditation. And when I've gone out there, sometimes it's almost like I've been it's almost like something says to me, like, come out tonight, bring your camera. And that's when I've caught some really amazing stuff. So I think anyone can see orbs, through a camera, or even, if you open yourself up, even just without a camera. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'd just like to interject one quickly. I've been thinking about Jaleesa, and I'd lost your contact information. So somewhere we've got to get connected back, because yeah, you've been on my mind, because I thought you'd had fabulous pictures and stories to share. So yeah, we got to put our heads together on this, because you might do the next round of pictures.
That would be awesome. Yeah, no, it's great to see you tonight. And absolutely, I will share my contact info with you. And I've got some photos I can share too.
Oh yeah, great. Good to hear your voice again. I wondered where you'd got to, because I didn't have your contact info. So
Yeah.
Right on, Lisa. Good for you.
So we have Brett and Carol that messaged us. If you want to come on, if you're still here, and if you don't want to show your video, you don't have to. You can just talk. Carol? Anybody? Okay, Carol.
Thank you, Mitzi. And I can't help but say I admire you, my dear. Gosh. Anyway, okay, there's a friend of, I don't know, okay, there's a friend of mine, okay, maybe I can share screen if I bring it up. She sent me one photo of an orb in her apartment. If I can bring up Messenger. I've got it on my cell phone as well. Let's see if I can bring this. I think okay, it's getting started. It's slow, it's asking me to update the whole thing. All right.
Okay, you should be able to share screen now.
Thank you, Mitzi. All right, see if I can go back to the photo. Okay, scroll back, get the photo. And it's interesting that Les was saying about, he mentioned someone was sick. Because her husband, this woman's husband, has Alzheimer's. Okay, and she's had to put him into, he was in the airborne division, the Canadian Airborne, his whole life. And she's had to put him into Sunnybrook Veterans. So he's mentally challenged. All right, let me share screen now. I've enlarged it. All right, there we go. Okay, let's see. Okay, can everybody see that? And there's the orb there. I don't know whether it's her camera or what it is, but she's got all her religious, her spiritual. She's into crystals, and she wants to do. She's taking courses. She wants to do a healing touch, therapeutic touch. She's had to arrange now that he's never going to come home. So she's rearranged her apartment. She's made one bedroom as a healing room. She's made another bedroom as an art room. She still has one son at home. The other three children are, they've left home, and a couple of her in Toronto, one's in out west. But I just wondered what that was. She even mentioned, you know, the orb, yeah.
And it is a spiritual orb. And the reason why it isn't higher is because there's a purifier that's an air ionizer. So
Okay.
so it won't go up that high. It'll stay lower. So.
Oh, I see. It won't go higher than that. Okay. Thank you, Mitzi. That's something, you learn something every day. All right, so that's it, folks. That's all right. You know, that's the only one I've got.
Thank you for sharing.
Okay, I'll stop sharing the screen there. Okay, now we're back. You see everybody.
Okay. Like I said, I have a lot for you to share. And then I also was at Janet's place and got a few pictures there. And yes, we all in the group call it Orbville, lovingly call it Orbville. And I want to thank Janet for taking this time. I'm only going to say a little bit. Janet has a brother that's in the hospital right now, and so sharing your time is very precious. So thank you, Janet, for being here tonight, sharing this with the group, and always sharing with everybody, sharing your home, your food, your companionship, and your passion. Thank you very much. We really appreciate you in this group.
You're most welcome.
Thank you. So, is there
Mitzi,
anyone else?
would you mind if I like to add just something also? Janet is one hell of a cook. I mean, her and Miles, we went over to their place.
Is.
Oh, wow. That's all I can tell you. Anyways.
Well, nobody can leave hungry, Mark. That's the rule.
That is the truth. And desserts were incredible as well, I must say. Yeah, no,
That's our passion too.
Yeah.
Food is our passion.
Yeah. You and Miles are great people, and it was a pleasure to be out there and be in Orangeville. And it's a gift. And you know what I hear is that, and maybe Mitzi can add something to this, but it's about seeing the orbs, like your ability to see in the orbs is maybe you vibrate at a different level than somebody else that can see it, for instance. So would that be something that you might think is accurate, Mitzi?
That is true. That is true. People's eyes are a little bit different and vibrating different. They're different gifts. I'm a shaman and I was born the way that I am. So my gifts started very young. I was trained by both sides of the family. So everybody has psychic abilities. Everybody's able to communicate with different entities if you're taught, but you have to develop those skills. So like with the orbs and stuff, I could see my own ancestors, the entities where they came from, the star people, where maybe nobody else could see them. But Mark, we've talked about this before, even with the crafts. You're supposed to see what you're supposed to see, and they will let you know. And I think some of you also know. All of a sudden you get this message in your head, go outside, take the camera. You bring your camera, start taking pictures. Oh my goodness, there it is, this object, this orb. Mark, you saw a UFO, but you and your wife both saw something different, but it was the same thing. How does that happen? That's because everybody is at a different spiritual level, different vibrational level, different gifts. Everyone has gifts. Everyone is blessed. Even sometimes we don't think we're blessed. Sometimes when we're going through trials, we've all gone through stuff. Some people know some of my trials that I went through, but there's always hope on the end. Some of this hope is like the orbs that we see. They're such a blessing. Some of them like I went to Jan and Miles' home, and I felt so loved there, not only by Jan and Miles, but I could feel the entities there. And I got so much energy, and it was the best sleep I ever had staying the night there, and the best food. Yes, Mark, she's a very good cook.
Yeah.
And yes, and she sent me on my way with food too, so I was blessed double. And yeah, I think people that are watching this are here for a reason. We're here to learn. We're here to share. We're here to know that we're not alone. We're not alone because we can share with each other openly. We're not alone because there are others out there. When people talk about disclosure, we are the disclosure. I keep saying that. A lot of people that are around us keep saying that. Don't wait for the government. We are the disclosure. And many times you'll know that my late husband, Craig, he was involved with a group, and some of his files and stuff were taken because they knew too much. So we are all together to share, to grow with each other, to expand our horizons, as the cliche is. So I don't want to keep talking because I'm used to being a teacher and a politician and a person who does a lot of lectures. So if anyone else has an Orb story to share, or
I'll share mine really quick.
Okay, Brett, you're up.
Yeah, mine was similar to the last girl that was speaking. I saw mine a few years ago, and mine was in my room, coming towards my bedroom window too. It was red and white orbs. I'm not gonna lie, I got scared when I saw it, and I ran away. But then when I came back to trying to forget, I put on my headphones to listen to music, and I felt a hand touch my knee. And then I jumped up, but I didn't see nothing. I just felt the hand there.
So this one actually touched you, Brett?
Yes, it did.
How awesome is that? That makes me think, when you're telling that it's a spiritual entity, energy. So it was connecting with you. How beautiful is that, Brett? Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, no problem. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody
Mitzi,
else?
can I jump in here? I every once in a while we'll have an experiencer that may want to see and talk to somebody because they feel alone or they're not able to talk to other people about it. That's one of these reasons why this group exists. I met somebody that's about 4 weeks ago that had called, had sent an email, and I responded to her, and she wanted to speak to somebody. So I met her for coffee in Osborne Village here in Winnipeg. And she described orbs coming into her bedroom. And she was fearful for only a short little bit. And then she could, even through thought, was watching these things communicate with her. And then she asked if she could touch one, and they moved closer to her. So she reached out and touched it. And she said she could touch this orb, which, first of all, she was freaked out about it, but then she became comfortable with it. So, yeah, that to me is quite something, to be able to touch an orb. I think I've heard very few cases that mention that people can actually touch orbs. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I don't hear very many stories about that either. What an amazing woman you met.
Yes, she was quite interesting. Quite interesting. Also, I will add a little bit to that story. So my wife and I saw outside my house an orb. This has got to be, but let's say about 2014. There's an orb. I was downstairs. I look out the window. I see a giant orb turning like gasoline on water. I run up the stairs. I'm yelling at my wife who's upstairs, and we walk outside. And we're standing side by side, looking at something at this orb. And I'm going, wow. And then I run in the house 15 seconds later because I want to take a picture. Every time I see a craft or something like this, I never have a phone with me for whatever reason. And 99.9% of the time I have a phone with me right beside me, almost all the time. Every time I see a craft, I don't have a phone with me. So this time I run inside, I want to take a picture. I come back and it disappeared. And I asked my wife, what happened? She says, it just blinked out, gone. Anyways, a couple of years later, I go to a party, somebody's talking to me, and they come up and they say, hey, listen, I hear you've seen UFOs. And he wants to talk about when he was 16, him and his friend were driving up in the Interlake in Manitoba, and then they were had missing time and that sort of thing. So I said, that's interesting. And so he says, what are your experiences? So I started to describe the experiences. My wife was beside me, and she said, I have 3 significant experiences. On the one that deals with the orb, my wife and I standing beside each other, I start describing it to him, and my wife taps me and said, no, I didn't see an orb. I saw a metallic craft. We're 75 feet away from We're 75 feet away from the object. I'm standing side by side with her. I see a 20-foot orb, and she sees a metallic craft. And I didn't find out for 2 years later because I had no idea that she would see something different than I saw. I just thought, well, I didn't say, hey, did you see what I saw? So maybe if you guys do see something with someone else, ask them what they saw at the time. It's very interesting.
True. So I've got pictures. I suppose I could share mine. Let me set it up first before. Yeah. My son put everything up for me, so. Well, I guess I'm going to be like everybody else, and I'm going to be a little bit spacey. Let me see.
Mitzi, while you're doing your thing, someone asked a question in the that.
Why don't you do that while I'm looking for my pictures?
Yeah, she described the feeling as like a tough leather. On the orb felt like a tough leather, like she rubbed her finger across it. So it didn't feel smooth like a metallic kind of an object. So yeah, that's the answer to the question.
I'm just going to show this real quick if I can, and I can't. This was the picture that Mark Freeman posted, and I've got to cheat and put my camera up there. Hold on, because I think we can see it. So I'll get it ready for next time a little bit better, but it shows the light coming down through the campfire. Just on my phone. Anyways.
Okay. I have the pictures up. I will share. And so I'm a writer and an author. And so I see, so here's some orbs here. The picture is blurred because they're moving, but here's the orbs, huge one. They seem to like music. And here's another one of my husband, my late husband. There was a green orb that followed him wherever he went from the age of 30. Another one. Here's it felt like an angel that was here. lot of orbs. Here's a lightning rod and orbs. This was an orb that came that was bright. I thought it was a moon. But it's gold. Came right up to me into the trees.
Anybody else have any experiences with orbs or anything like that they'd like to talk about? I did have the pleasure of being with Janet at her place, and having never taken pictures of orbs before, she was very, very kind and showing me how to use my little camera. And yeah, I got orbs. It was really cool. It was a wonderful evening. If you do get a chance ever to be in Winnipeg and go over to her place, it is a lovely place out in the country, and lots of room. And yeah, the orbs are there. It's a lot of fun.
I just want to add, there was a question in the chat there about cameras, and I think everybody has a different amount of success with different cameras. I use this little point and shoot. It's very basic. Okay, I really don't know anything about cameras. I turn it on, I turn it off. That's kind of the extent of my knowledge. And yet, for me, it takes fabulous pictures. I don't have any luck with cell phones, but lots of people do. I think you sort of got to go out and try. So in this orb book, the one I was telling you about, Klaus talks about that because he said in the more expensive cameras, there is filters in there called hot mirrors, and the hot mirrors filter out the infrared wavelength. And I know we have another, Miles has a more expensive camera here, and the pictures we get with orbs on there aren't nearly as good as the one on the little point and shoot. And it's because I think the point and shoot has less of those hot filters or hot mirrors. And that is kind of the extent of my knowledge on cameras. I know people ask about setting the different stops and the timing and that. And I really don't know anything about that. Honestly, I just use this little camera, and it and I get along, and we seem to pick up. And it worked for you too, Betty, right? Just your little point and shoot camera, because
yeah, even in places that are have a little more light, because your place is really dark at night. Yeah. I did some around my own home where there was a little more ambient light, and I still was able to get orbs and stuff like that with my little point and shoot, just a cheapy little digital camera. And it seems to work quite well. I can't get anything on my cell phone. I tried it at Janet's place, nothing happened, but with a little cheap camera, worked fine.
Yeah, and I think also it has to do with the flash. I think the flashes are a little stronger on these cameras than the cell phones, but honestly, that's kind of the extent of my knowledge on this. So so yeah, I cannot answer any technical questions. And the nice part is, with it all digital, you just go out and try it, because it's not like you're burning off film and it's costing a bunch of money, right? So I think if everybody sort of experiments for themselves about what works best for you. Lisa, you're still there? You use a point and shoot?
I use my cell phone and it comes out just fine. So I get orbs and angels and yeah.
Yeah. And it works fine for you. So once again, I think it's a personal thing.
I believe whatever you're supposed to see, you see. And if it wants you to record it, it will be recorded. You're the person that's blessed to have it seen and recorded on camera. So Mark, you wonder why Why are you not able to? They just don't want you to record it. It's for you. It's a sacred thing for you to see. Sometimes, like you, Janet, it's for the world. You're the one chosen for that. So whoever's taking pictures or movies or whatever videos, you're the one that they chose to use that medium.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And I think also intent will help you as well too. If you're going to do an evening and go outside and you meditate for a few minutes and let your intent be known, this is what you want, I think you'll get better success too.
Yeah, I agree. We just recently put in some security cameras, which was very interesting. So, and they shoot mostly in infrared. We have one clip, and the pictures are just little. I'll get it ready for another time when we can blow the pictures up. But Miles was one that was noticing it, watching. I went out to just go for a walk to shoot some orbs, and I walked out, and he saw this zing coming off the top, sort of around the top of my head, and he slowed it down to 3 frames or 5 frames, where it looks like 5 frames per second, and it looks like this orb is either coming out of my head or up the back of my head and zinging out of the top. And so, we were kind of chuckling as that was my one bright idea I had, and it's gone. Anyways, we are watching the security cameras more because we are seeing things zipping around out there, and because they shoot in infrared, some nights are more active than others. So just another angle to try, but still lots of fun. I'll mute off now.
Yeah, and my mama has security cameras now too, and she gets orbs.
So that is very, very cool. One more thing to consider is, we always think they're there at night, but of course, I'm sure they're there all day too, right? So this energy is always around us. We're just capturing it better at night. So we're not alone. It's always there, and I think it so mirrors our intent. And it's great fun. Thanks everybody for sharing.
Yeah, Lisa, you had a question, or you wanted to have a comment?
Yeah, just a quick comment. Like I find too, when I don't know, it's almost like a sense that I have, like it's almost electric, like an electric feeling in the air. And I kind of just know that that's a good time to go out there and take some photos. And yeah, like if there's high humidity or moisture in the air, that's also a really good time I find. And then the fall and spring equinox, for whatever reason, that is when I have captured nature spirits on film, and it's incredible. So I've read that, it has something to do with the magnetic kind of field at certain times of the year, at certain places on the planet or on the earth. And I think that also kind of influences, like kind of heightened times when you can see them or through a camera. So I just wanted to kind of share that.
I think also ley lines have an effect as well too. Some people are rather sensitive to those, and so that when they're in them, I think it renaissance through them, the vibrations are more in line, and things like that. One of the reasons why we can see, we have the stuff in the fields. Now my brain's not working the right words. But those are also, they say, with electricity and being able to get into them as well as that. So I think it's all to do with vibration and energy levels. And the people that are a little more open can see them more, but anybody can take orb pictures as far as I can see. It's just a matter of experimenting with what cameras you have. And digital works great because it doesn't cost you anything. And it's just going out at night, maybe finding a darker place and just shooting and taking pictures and experimenting a little bit. And if you need any help, I'm sure that a number of us here can help you, or Janet can help you as far as, doing a little experiment. If somebody wants to be local and wants to go out and try again, maybe next year in the summertime it'd be a little warmer, but you can do them anytime. I mean, winter works good too. Yeah, you just gotta be a little more diehard.
Well, and I think seriously, next spring when it gets nice, I'm sure there's going to be people that want to shoot, and we can set an evening aside to do it and come out, because I mean, we'll warn you right off, you know, June will be better than May, but there are mosquitoes and all that kind of stuff. But you know what? It's just fun to get a group of people together and share experiences. And I'm sure we can set something up in the spring. So you just got to stay in touch.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you very much, Janet. Well, it's 8:43, and unless somebody else has a question or a comment, I think we can close this up for tonight and let everybody get a look up some orbs. Did you have any other orb books other than the ones you showed, Janet?
I ended up getting this one from Merlina Marcan, and it's got some big pictures. It is, she has some excellent pictures in there. And now I think you have to order that from her. It might be on Amazon. I'm not sure. It's a little bit expensive. It's $75, but it's a really big book and it's got really big pictures. So yeah, it's excellent too. So these are kind of the ones I stick to. And yeah, they, you know, people can look them over when they come next time to see if it's worth it. But I think they really are worth it because it helps you categorize it. Because you end up seeing a ton of things and sort of getting these straight in your brains, what categorizes, like the mists, the this, the that. It helps you because, you know, we had years of pictures there and you look through them and then you get a little overwhelmed. It's like, how do I categorize these and start taking them apart? So it's good to see, and then everybody else can sort of figure out their own way to categorize their pictures. So just a thought.
Sure. And can we have a plug, please, for your website and give everybody the exact address so that they can go on and look at some of the pictures you posted? You have excellent pictures.
Oh, thank you. That's Miles' projects. He's got the patience to do that. And the Orbs of St. Clements, and it's on Facebook. So yeah, just look that up. And
can you spell St. Clements for them?
I'm not sure. It's ST. And then Clements is a separate word, capital CLEMENTS, St. Clements. So the Orbs of St. Clements. So yeah, have a look. And I'm sure we'll be hearing from some people and we can share stuff. If you want your orb pictures shared on there, we'll do that too. So it's fun to have a place to bounce it off of people.
That's wonderful. And hopefully we can put something together in June, and maybe we could even make it open so people can talk about what they're experiencing, they're having there to an open group. We could do that too, as long as we got laptops. That would work really well outside as well too. So the people that are from out of town can actually see what we're doing. Anyway, I want to thank you.
It's great.
I'd like again to thank you very much, Janet, for spending your time and showing us your pictures and putting that all together. We appreciate it very, very much. I want to thank Mitzi for keeping me on track. And I was so busy this evening working on stuff. I totally forgot, and Mitzi sends me a text. Are you there? Are you coming tonight? And oh, I forgot. I'm sorry. I got so busy doing stuff. I forgot that I needed to be there ahead of time. Plus time change didn't help either. Okay. And definitely want to thank Laura B for recording all this and getting it up on Facebook. Thank you very much. I just don't have the time to do that. And I don't know if I could actually learn to do all that editing and all that kind of stuff. That's a huge job, and we appreciate you very much, Laura, for doing that. Yes, and then of course our mighty leader, Mark, who comes early sometimes, and then comes late sometimes.
Miss the odd meeting.
Yeah. I want to thank everybody again for coming tonight. It's wonderful to see everybody. And please give us your suggestions of people that you think we should try to contact. We can't always get them because sometimes they're booked months and months in advance, but we will try our best if we can get them on. And we want to know what you want to learn about, what you want to see about, experience about, talk about. And we might even have one night where we just do experiences that you've had over the last 6 months. And stuff like that. So let us know what you like and send us some feedback on what you're looking for. I wish everybody a good night and thank you very much for coming.